There's a saying from Nikola Tesla: if you want the keys to the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm gonna teach you and tell you how to manifest and make dua and how those things relate. And I'm gonna give you the methods to that. The way I started getting into manifestation was through observing the friendships that I've had my entire life, okay? When I tell you every single, and this has happened to me like 6 times, every single friendship that I have has ended, like it's always lasted 2 years, okay? I've had deja vu moments where they'll say the same thing that the last person said in the friendship around the same time that like our friendship lasted, right? I was meeting the same personalities, okay? The same people in different bodies. You guys know that saying where like God will send you the same people until you learn your lesson. This was my lesson, okay? I needed to learn what manifestation was, the mental aspect of it, because I was manifesting these people into my life. That was the scariest thing ever. And I was like, no, like I'm literally doing something wrong. I started researching about this stuff, how our thoughts create our reality, how the way that you think and like the things that you say and speak into existence, facts, your reality creates your reality, because everything needs to be thought about first, brought into fruition. So when I tell you, I have literally read every single book, I've watched every single video. I've done literally so much research on manifestation. What I came to a point where I was like, okay, now I need to actually try this and see if it works for myself. So the first thing that I did was the 369 method. I finally decided to try it. I remember back then, okay, this was in like 2020 when like everyone was making videos about this on TikTok. Okay, this one girl said to do the 369 method. This was very random. This is what just came up to my mind. I decided I'm gonna see an orange butterfly. So what I did was 3 times write down what it is, 6 times the intention, and then 9 times write exactly what you would have. So as if you already have that thing. So this is what I would have written, right? 3 times an orange butterfly, 6 times I'm going to see an orange butterfly, and then 9 times I'm so grateful now that I've seen an orange butterfly. After I wrote this down on a piece of paper, I literally just folded it, like put it away, and then I visualized for like 5 seconds, literally 5 seconds, an orange butterfly, like out in the nature, okay? When I tell you, the next day, none of this is planned, okay? The next day, we go on like a road trip. I'm gonna put up a picture here from 2020. I see an orange butterfly, like art on the wall. Now I saw this and I was like, unimpressed. I was like, okay, I'm getting signs. And I was so confident. I was like, yeah, like this is gonna happen. I'm gonna see this. Which is why it's really important for you to have tawakkul, or for you to genuinely believe and know that it's going to happen. That's the key. Then the next day after that, we went on a picnic, right? Like we go here all the time, right? There's no butterflies whatsoever. Midway during like our stay there, someone points out to me, there's an orange butterfly. I sat there for like a minute and I was like, oh my God, like this just happened. I just manifested this. And you'd think like this is something so simple. It could have been a coincidence. But the way I was so sure and I just knew it was going to happen, I didn't doubt it for like a second. That was the first thing I ever manifested. Since then, I have literally manifested money. I have manifested grades changing after my like cards came out, right? The semester ended. I have manifested everything. But I'm going to say this at its core. You need to have tawakkul. It's all about tawakkul. You need to trust. You need to believe that it's going to happen. Right? A Muslim is one that submits their will to Allah. You have no option but to submit to Allah, but to surrender to Allah. If you trust Allah, everything works out. I didn't plan that. I didn't plan going out the next day or the day after that. I even probably forgot about it, and then it happened for me. The second method that I'm going to warn you about, this is so dangerous. They're never going to teach you in school. You need to really listen to me when I say this, okay? Because no one's ever going to tell you this. I had to do so much research and I had to learn it the hard way. The stats method, okay? Let me put this pencil down. This is something that Neville Goddard talks a lot about, if any of y'all know who that is. It's basically where you go to sleep on the thought of what you do want to manifest, okay? When I tell you, especially when it comes to those friendships, do you know why those friendships kept manifesting for me? The same personalities, the same people kept showing up in different bodies. I would go home from school every day, and then I would think about that right before I sleep. Oh, they said this. Oh, they did this. That was upsetting. That was suspicious, right? I would fall asleep to the thought of things that I didn't want or did occur in my day, which I understand it's like innate for all of us to just like observe like what happened throughout our day at the end of the day when we're about to fall asleep. But you need to avoid that at all costs because this could literally ruin your life. And when I decided to look into like the scientific, like, you know, what proof do we have that this actually works? This has to do with our theta waves, which is the stages of us falling asleep or eventually falling to sleep. The most important stage is the theta stage, okay? Which is right when you're about to fall asleep versus like being awake, okay? So it's like the transition period between that. Because this shifts your conscious, right? It's when your brain truly loosens up, which is why during meditation, they always say like breathe in, breathe out, right? You want to reset your body to 0. You don't want any thoughts, you know? And I'm going to give you this like visual example for people who are visual, right? If you have chaos throughout the day, it looks like this. Let's say you have a straight idea of what it is that you want, and you're trying to align those two. Does this sit on top? Does it sit flat? Do these collide? No. You want to start off on a clean slate, okay? And then have a clear understanding of what it is that you want. This is your conscious, this is what you want. You have clear understandings and a clear slate to input these subconscious messages into, okay? They collide, they sit together, they match. You want to clear your conscious. You could do this by breathing in and out. You could do this by simply focusing on nothing, right? Focusing on nothingness or your breath. So when you do clear your mind and you're laying in bed, right, about to fall asleep, you want to think about what you do want as if you already have it. Because the brain does not know the difference between our actual reality and our imagination. If you convince yourself enough that this thing is true, you're going to manifest it. So you want to sleep to the idea of already having this thing. Now, I recently made a video about manifesting a dua by letting go and how that actually worked for me when I started manifesting along with the dua. And I didn't mention that, but that dua was about a trip that I manifested to Turkey. What I didn't mention was that I also did the stats method, which I'm going to get into. But when I tell you, the odds were against me, okay? My dad got banned from Turkey. My passport expired. Our relatives died. And then an earthquake hit. So there was no way that like I would have been able to go the first or the second year. But when I tell you, I didn't care. I still persisted. I still made my dua. I literally didn't care. And I knew it. Like, I'm going to be there one day, okay? But there was so much resistance where I wanted it so bad. And you need to want it, but not want it so severely to the point where like, you know, you can't bear the alternative or the option of not having that thing. Because one thing that I've noticed is God is truly testing us to see, are we patient? Do we have sabr? Are we that attached to something in the dunya? Are we that attached to an outcome that we can't bear the alternative of God not having or not giving us that? Whereas now, it's like, okay, I get to relax and enjoy and know that this opportunity was given to me. Like, the first half of wanting to go was always me trying to arrange places, right? Trying to figure out like flight prices and stuff like that. Whereas I just let the opportunity slide and come to me when I didn't expect it most. Now, this is where I used the stats method, okay? And this is almost unintentional too, right? Because I was not approaching this from a mindset of like, I so desperately need to have this. I need to manifest this. Like, this needs to happen immediately. I was actually coming from a place of like, this is going to happen eventually, right? Like, I'm going to get to go one day anyways. If it's not now, then it's later, right? But I didn't let that stop me. And I didn't put that on a pedestal. I enjoyed the thought of like being able to go one day, which I think is what manifested. Now, like I said, stats, method is where like you would go to sleep on the thought of this thing. When I tell you, I would like play audios, I'm gonna put it here. I would play audios of like airplane ambience and like, you know, that like audio when like the airport or like the people that work on the plane like call and they're like, welcome to this airport. I would listen to like that audio, right? I would fall asleep to the sound of like airplane ambience.